Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. Saying hi from Shanghai, China. I am Super Huang, the teacher trainer and academic consultant for Macmillan Education Asia. I'm based in Shanghai, China right now, so I can see teachers from Georgia, Poland, Peru, Aku. Sorry about the pronunciation if I didn't make it right. And Argentina, Vietnam. Yes. It must be quite late for some of you and quite early for some of you. So thank you for coming. Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. So welcome to the 2025 Global Teachers Festival by Macmillan Education. It is the second day of the second week. So I'm glad if you have joined us like last week or yesterday. We talked about different topics starting from day one all the way. We're going to have like a 10 days for 2 weeks. So welcome, welcome. Because we're going to have the topic of color today. So I would like to invite you to give me a color to describe your feeling or describe your thoughts at the moment. Yeah, just any colors pop up in your mind, okay? Orange, purple, green, golden, wow, pink, white, red, blue, brown, wow. Very different colors, but I can see a lot of green actually. Many, many green and purple as well, quite a lot purple. Yes, so thank you very much for giving me the color and probably you are going to have more like ideas about colors in the classroom today. So let me share my screen with you first. So it is the biggest event of the year of Macmillan Education, and it is the Global Teachers Festival. And today we are going to have two speakers, Emily and Anna, focusing on the topic of color. Yeah, adding a little bit artistic elements to your classroom. It could be something about using the whiteboards, how to doodle and how to draw for your students to learn better. And it could be, yeah, using different colors to make the connection between colors and learning. So hopefully at the end of the session today, you will be, yeah, taking some colors away and yeah, enjoy your classes better with more colors and more paintings or more drawings. So let me give you a little bit of the housekeeping. So a lot of teachers ask about certificates. It will arrive together with the virtual goodie bag in a week, in about a week. So it will take like a few days, maybe 4 to 5 or even 6 days, 7 days to arrive in your inbox. So please be patient with us. And together you will find find the recording of the session, the slides of the session, and together with some surprising like teaching materials over there. If you do have any problems about the virtual goodie bag or certificate, please take notes about this email address here, eltwebinars@macmillaneducation.com. Okay, you can email us if you do have any questions about the certificate. And without further ado, let me invite the first speaker, Emily, to the stage. If you joined us last year with the Fast Forward webinar, you probably will remember Emily for her creative like uh, sketches about the summary of all these wonderful Fast Forward webinar summaries. And today we're going to have Emily to have a session focusing on sketching especially. So hi, Emily.
Hello, how you doing? Thank you so much for having me on and inviting me here.
Yes, I know you are an ELT teacher with some special skills. Could you please tell us a little bit more about your experience?
Yeah. So I have been teaching English for about 2 decades, more than 2 decades. And I predominantly taught learners from refugee backgrounds in a college in Scotland, and many of those black learners had literacy needs. Some were developing literacy in their first language as well as in English. And that's one of the reasons why I got into doodling so much, is because adding some doodles to the whiteboard instantly makes lessons more accessible and it helps learners to have something to take home in their own notes that they can use. But I've used it with all levels of learner. I've used it in my training sessions with teachers. I've used it on myself for my own business planning, etc. Um, it's a great way to help everybody, really. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, everybody can draw, can doodle, and the teachers,
yes,
especially like language teachers, can definitely make benefits out of like drawing or doodling. So I am very much looking forward to your session. So please, yeah, I will be back like after 30 minutes. Please teach us if you do have any questions, please submit it in the Q&A and please feel free to share your thoughts in the chat box as well. So I will see you in 30
great.
minutes. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, throughout this session, I'd like everybody to get their notepads and a pen, which you can't see because it keeps disappearing because of my background. But grab a notepad, grab a pen, and doodle throughout. I would like to have you all at the end of the session believing that you can draw. In the chat, can you just let me know how do you feel about drawing? Are you confident with it? Do you hate it? Um, I'd like to convince you, if you have a negative opinion on it, that it's not scary and that you should feel the fear and draw anyway. I am not an artist, can I just say? I only started drawing with my classes maybe in about 2016, 2017. Um, and since then, I've developed my skills. I see it as a visual vocabulary. So much like learning a language, we can learn it over time and practice. And okay, so this session is called From Chaos to Clarity, Tips for Effective and Engaging Whiteboards. So often our whiteboards, and I think it's okay for our whiteboards to be chaotic and messy because sometimes classes are chaotic and messy, but we would like them to be as clear as possible and as streamlined as possible. So hopefully I will share some ways of doing this. I will be using Canva Whiteboard, um, which is an online whiteboard tool. There are other alternatives such as Miro and Mural that you might want to look at using. I'm also using a digital pen. You can use your finger if you want to. I will show you other ways that you can do this if you don't have a touchscreen laptop and pen as I go through as well. One of the things I'd like to say actually about this session is usually my sessions are very colourful. My sketch notes, if you're familiar with them, are very colourful. My visual tools for learners, which are kind of graphic organizers with a visual thinking, visual metaphor twist, are very colourful. But this session's about whiteboards, and whiteboards are generally black and white, or white and black, uh, or depending on how many colours you can get with from your stationery cupboard, you can add more. And we'll talk a bit about that as we go through. But why add doodles and graphic facilitation techniques through your whiteboards? Firstly, it makes them more accessible. So it provides some very simple support for learners. One image can have a big impact on meaning. It's lots of fun. It's creative. Um, Adding little doodles can bring the class to life. They don't need to be art. You'll see that these are, as you look at my doodles, this one is a triangle, this one is a squiggle, this one is a rectangle. You will start to see shapes, lines. If you can draw the alphabet and you can draw shapes, then you can draw. It's joyful and welcoming. And I think as teachers, we want our students to feel like they are welcomed into the class. Maybe we want them to feel like they're getting a big hug when they come into class. We want them to feel welcome. Um, in class, it can be a bit of a plan B as well. Um, so sometimes you might go into your classroom and think, computer's not working. What's happening? But if you've got drawings up your sleeve, if you can doodle, I will show you some activities that you can do minimal preparation at any time in class whenever you want to. So you've always got a toolkit of tools for facilitation ideas. Um, it inspires creativity. Um, Creativity is what is a critical thinking skill, a 21st century skill. It's very highly sought after. If you draw out, there are studies that show that drawing out your future and future visioning can help you think about what you want in life and think about their plans, um, help them plan where they want to be, how they're going to get there, and get creative about their ideas. Also helps students to understand. Um, So you can draw out complex concepts such as grammar, for example, or vocabulary, um, and that can help students to process information and think. In fact, Sunny Brown, who is a very big doodler, sketchnoter, she's got a book called The Doodle Revolution, and she says that doodles are making marks to help people think. So they are very, very helpful. Okay, so some of the benefits. This is one of the ways I like to illustrate the benefits through visuals. So we have a left whiteboard and we've got a right whiteboard. Can you say in the chat which whiteboard would you prefer to learn from in your class? If you were to learn another language, which whiteboard would you want your teacher to use? Yep, right, exactly. Which one is the most accessible whiteboard, the left one or the right one? Yes, somebody's just written, no need to ask. You're very correct. I'd like you to just take a look at this one for a moment and picture a world of English language teaching where there are no images. You go into class and there's no pictures. You open your notebooks and there's no pictures, just words. You open your course books, just words. You download a PDF to use in class and it's just words. That's not going to be very motivating. It's not going to be very understandable. It's not going to be very inspiring. It's also not going to replicate real life because so much of what we do is visual. If you look around the screen at the moment, there's so many little icons here. Like, for example, this T for text, the upload icon here on the left. If you look on Zoom or think about Zoom, you've got the speech bubble for chat, etc. There's so much visual literacy every single day. And if you look closely at these words, these pictures that I've used, they're illustrating sounds, so oo and ch for low-level literacy learners. And they all involve just simple shapes. So an O, a rectangle, another rectangle, and then an L shape for a clock. You could just have just the clock itself, like that. The cheese is basically a rectangle with a triangle. Sorry, sometimes Canva does that weird thing with the, I'm not sure how to stop it. If anyone knows how to stop it, please tell me. The foot is very bizarre, but it gets the point across that yes, it is indeed a foot. So it doesn't need to be beautiful. And I think actually having imperfect and messy drawings makes students much more likely and willing to be imperfect and messy in their own notebooks and mess is creative. And on the whiteboard, nobody wants to see their teacher creating the Sistine Chapel of Leonardo da Vinci perfection. They just want to be taught English in a fun way. So here's a way that you can make your whiteboard accessible on day one. Um, and let's make it very welcoming. So you can draw, remember when you were a kid and you would draw a bird? So it's like two N shapes together, another N shape, and then some little lines. And you can maybe add a little smile in the middle. I often found that my students would ask me again and again and again and again, teacher, what room, teacher, what class, etc. So if it's all there on the whiteboard with a picture beside it, then they know exactly what uh, all the information. So add the time, for example, 9 to 12, add the room number, a little rectangle with a circle, and then add your email address. And you can add like a little at there to make sure they know. Oh yeah, somebody's just put you can add funny pictures in Canva under elements. You are so correct, which is another reason why I love using Canva. So if you go to elements here, you can search for anything you want. So for example, time, and then you'll see clocks, you've got pictures, videos, lots of cool things on Canva you can do. So you don't just need to draw it. And that's another way of getting around if you don't have a doodleable drawing tablet screen, a drawing screen. So you can add it with your own icons using the Elements tab. This is a whiteboard that I created in class on a day where I went into class and the computer wasn't working. So we were practicing sounds. So we've got bridge, DGE. We've got the silent K in here. We were kind of reviewing a whole lot of different sounds. We were looking at sh, we were looking at oo. And these, so I got students to think about what was in their kitchen, and then I drew them out. This washing machine here is basically just a rectangle and a couple of circles and a very, very small shrunken t-shirt comedy size in it that demonstrates that it's a washing machine. Um, and then you can ask lots of extension tasks with that, get them to ask and answer questions. For example, is there a washing machine in your kitchen? What is inside your fridge? Do you have an oven? Those kind of questions. Question, answer, make sentences, write about their kitchen, describe their kitchen, draw their dream kitchen, or create on Canva, for example, a dream kitchen and get them to talk about it, or find a picture online, get them to talk about it. Um, Another whiteboard that I'd like to show you that I've used is it's kind of like a sketch note of a whiteboard. So sketchnoting is a form of visual recording or visual note taking. And it's basically using simple pictures with very short text. So it's kind of like a hand-drawn infographic in a way. So in my classroom at the college, I was very lucky to have an entire wall where I could put the messy parts of my classroom work. But I also had this whiteboard at the side, which kind of became a wall, like it was kind of more of a permanent feature. And randomly, other teachers didn't really use this as much as I did. So that whiteboard kind of became mine. And then my kind of doodles stayed on the wall and helped other classes that came in the afternoon or the morning. But yeah, so we used these with, so for example, got countries here, a little flag, and then they can see all the different capitals here. It means they can take a picture of it or they can draw it themselves, for example. This little world map here is simply a circle and some little splodges. There is some research to show that drawings only need to look, oh, I can never remember, 30, 40, or 50% similar. I think it's actually as low as 30% for us to be able to understand what they are. So this little, for example, this little graphic with the world map, circle and some little splodges, and that's all you need to show to demonstrate something. Same with this street, for example. The street, couple of lines, and then some little other lines around it. So yeah, keep it simple, and then students can take pictures. Students can create their own if you want them to. Okay, so in class, there are various tick options if you don't have a drawing tablet and a pen. You can use this visualizer, and visualizers you can get them quite cheaply. They basically take a video stream of a piece of paper or a picture or a magazine or your course book, for example, and then it connects to a computer and then maybe to a whiteboard as well. And then you can use it in class to show what's on your paper. It's actually really good for correcting, for working through corrections together or highlighting bits of a text together. But yeah, you can draw on it as well. The flip chart, the mighty flip chart, love the flip chart. Uh, One of the joys of the flip chart is not only being able to use it like a whiteboard, but also being able to use giant pieces of paper to create posters or to have classroom activities. So I'll show you some classroom activities using flip charts later. You've got Canva whiteboard as well. I like Canva because you can edit videos, you can make reels, you can I do my invoicing with Canva. You can create PDF documents, PowerPoint presentations, all sorts of things. But you can also use oops, Miro. Oh, sometimes it does that. I don't know why. It's got some. Okay, Canva. The alternatives are Miro, excuse the writing, and Mural. Um, but they are more, I think Miro and Mural are a bit more expensive and they don't seem to have the same functionality. It's doing exactly the same thing. Um, and you've got obviously your whiteboard as well. Wonderful. And someone in the last session brought up blackboards. Of course, use blackboards. You can get really creative and use all sorts of things. Someone in the last session also said that they laminated bits of paper to create their own mini whiteboards. You can also get little smart boards, which are mini whiteboards, and lots of activities to use with all of those. Plus a piece of paper and a notepad, also wonderful. Okay, to make your whiteboard snazzier, you can have things called what we call banners. In the graphic facilitation world or the sketchnoting world, these are called banners. Um, so the top tip is to write around the word first. So for example, where is it? For example, I'm going to make a bit more space. So write the word first. If you want to share any of your doodles at any point, please tag Macmillan Education and Emily Bryson ELT on socials. I would absolutely love to see what you are creating in your own notebooks right now. So nice little rectangle, another rectangle around it, and then you can connect it at the sides. The alternative is to turn it into like, you could make it like a mirror. It's going to be quite good for reflective activities or for picture frames. Yeah, mirror or picture frame. The simple one is just to add little dots in the corner to make it look like a kind of plaque. And the slightly trickier one is to turn it into like a kind of ribbon. So a couple of lines, another couple of lines. You can have a triangle here. You could also have it just flat if you want. And then a couple of like a V shape at the top or a triangle, depending on the angle that you want to go for. So rectangle, and that just makes things a little bit snazzier. It gets students into taking notes as well and makes their own notebooks more fun. You'll find that students get really into making their notebooks look really interesting and stand out. And I always find that when I create sketch notes and notes that look pretty, I'm much more inclined to look at them again. So if you want your students to review their notes or the notes that you create, then I would recommend sketchnoting them. So I'd like to share the paper carousel idea before I show you how to make this snazzy. So paper carousel is basically an activity where you get big pieces of paper, get students into groups, and then you create, so for example, group A has the plan of talking about food vocabulary, for example, and they need to make a list of all the food vocabulary they can think of. B has to make a list of all the, I don't know, colors they can think of. Group D or Group C have to think about animals, for example, and then they pass they once they've had their ideas, they pass the piece of paper to the next group who adds their own ideas. Maybe they correct some spelling mistakes. Maybe they ask some questions. You could start it with a question, like a research question as well. And Group A adds all the information they know about that research question and then passes it to Group B, who then adds more information. So lots of different activities that you can do with this paper carousel idea. It's a great way of preparing students for like presentations, helping them review grammar, helping them review vocabulary. But you can do it with blank pieces of paper, or you can make it immediately more appealing by adding snazzy little layouts such as these. And if you want a quick way of doing it, you can go to Elements in Canva and, for example, look for a flip chart and then add this to it and then print out if you want a super quick way of doing it. But I like to draw it and then you don't need to bother printing anything. Um, and to draw it, you just start with a rectangle. And then in the top corners, you can add a couple of drawing pins, just with a couple of lines, and then a couple of circles at the top. If you want to, you can colour the circles in. And then you've got something that's immediately more engaging than just a blank sheet of paper. You can also add more lines and then turn it into some sticky tape. You could make that sticky tape jaggy along the edges if you want to. And then you can colour it in because some sticky tape is very cool and coloured and some is not. Some is transparent. So yeah, up to you. But I feel like it makes everything, and you can add obviously a banner at the top, like for example, get them to think about, and then for example, food. Oh, I'm writing too fast. The problem with you do kind of do need to slow down a little bit. And the other one is to make it look like it's kind of coming away from the page and that it's got this nice little corner. So to do that, you can start with a rectangle at the top with a couple of dots at the side. And then just give it a bit of a flick at the bottom. Go along. And then here, you can just give it a little flick at the bottom as well and make it curved. Okay. And then, yeah, then you've got some nice flip charts that are very engaging for your learners. And this is what we call container. We like to call graphic facilitators call these like a container activity. And another great container activity is the light bulb that we talked about earlier. So a container is basically just an icon drawn really big as a thinking space so that students can put their ideas into that thinking space and have time to maybe discuss it and explore it in more depth. So the light bulb is very versatile because you can use it for ideas, for example. You can get students to add their ideas using post-it notes. So you've got this U shape, and then you've got an O, and then you've got a Z, and you've got an M. You can have the M with wiggles, or you can have just an M as it is, or you can have lots of little filaments. It's up to you. But yeah, you can get students to come out and add ideas with post-it notes. If you're working in Canva, you can look for sticky notes and then have students add their ideas using sticky notes. Because yeah, with Canva Whiteboard, you can share it a lot like you can share like a Google Doc. Um, so you can have all the students interacting at the same time, all in one document, which is really good fun and very collaborative. You can give them all different sections as well, so that they're all working on maybe a different activity at the same time. Okay, yeah, so container activities. Here is another container activity. So yeah, containers, big icons, or icons drawn big or created big to give you thinking spaces. Um, and in this activity, this is an activity that you can do that's very minimal preparation. If you know how to draw these icons, then you can do it at any time in class. So if you've got a computer failure, um, then it's perfect for that. But it's also a good way of getting students out of their chairs and collaborating and talking together. So this is how I got students to think about and share ideas on how they learned English. So the homework, for example, is a rectangle with some little C shapes, backward C shapes. The book is a rectangle with some couple of little lines. The video is multiple N shapes and some little circles. And a rectangle, a little line. The laptop is a rectangle, a couple of lines out the way, and then just some really quick, oops. It's going to say quick crisscrosses, but it doesn't always work like that. Too quick, not too quick. I don't know why Canva wants to show me that. I have to do it over here. There we go. A couple of little crisscrosses. Um, so yeah, students, you can get students to come out and add their ideas using post-its or give them all a whiteboard marker. I find that my students love writing their own ideas on a whiteboard marker. You could get them to copy it to their notebooks and add their ideas. But it's a great way of getting them to share um, what how they learn English. Um, and actually, what intrigued me was that my students used a lot of videos. Um, that surprised me. I thought they would be using more kind of speaking outside of class, etc., and um, websites, etc. Um, you can use vocabulary. What do you call them? They're kind of like a vocabulary graphic organizer, I suppose, where you can get them into the habit of not just writing a word with no translation whatsoever, and then they go home and they have no idea what the word means. But you could get them to add pictures, add it like a frame, like I showed you, or a circle for meaning, a word in a rectangle, and then a sentence with it in context. Um, then we've got lettering. And because I taught a lot of literacy learners, we did a lot of handwriting in class because I found that students who um, were quite slow with their handwriting took longer to take notes. So they were a bit of a disadvantage with the learners who'd maybe learned, were very quick with their handwriting. And yeah, so dotted third paper is great. So for example, This is a tall letter. I'll just zoom in on that. So you've got your letters that come to the top here. You've got your smaller letters and you've got your letters with tails. So for example, capital E is a tall letter, M is a small letter, I is a small letter, L is a tall letter. Hey. Hmm. The mysteries of Canva whiteboard. I don't know why it does that. Uh, ah, I don't know what's happening with the pen here. Sorry. Seems to be whenever I draw a dot, doesn't like dots. L, Y. So that's your down letter, for example. So I don't spend too long on lettering because I think in the real world, in the classroom with a whiteboard, you want it to be fast. But if you're creating something like a flip chart that you're going to use many times, or a poster, or maybe you want to teach your students some fun ways to create letters on their posters, for example, then you could use these. So the first easy way is just to do capital letters or any letter and just add little serifs on the corners. So like just add, make them a bit longer at the end. Uh, you could get them to add little dots. So a dot here, a dot there. You can add the dots wherever they want, really. They can add, I haven't added one in this bit, but you could. Uh, you can do bubble writing, which makes things a bit more fun. So maybe if students are doing a task, you can create something nice on the whiteboard for their next task, for example, if you have time to do that. If not, stick with just regular, clear whiteboard writing that is intelligible. I think the most important part of whiteboard writing is to make sure that students can understand it, can read it easily. So make it big enough and make it clear enough and make it fit with these kind of rules of the correct height, for example. Okay, I think that brings us. Oh yeah, if you want some extra inspiration, I would recommend this hashtag ELT whiteboard, which was very popular a few years ago, but I think it's kind of lost its momentum a little bit. So it would be great to reinvigorate the momentum. So if you can start it again and share your ideas from ELT whiteboards, that would be lovely. This is Dan Barber's Present Perfect. So it is a bridge from the past into the present. Oh, that's not the present, that's the future. It's a bridge into the present. So past, five. I'm just going to leave that one because we're running out of time. You know what I mean. So, and then here, Andrew Parfit has this lovely hashtag ELT whiteboard for the difference between P and B. And the only difference is that they've got these little aspirated lines. So he's just drawn the side of a face and some lovely little aspirated lines to show students that P, you can feel the sound, and B, you don't. So thank you so much for coming. If you want to see more doodling videos and more colourful visual templates, etc., then you can go to at Emily Bryson ELT or emilybrysonelt.com. And I think Super probably has some questions for me. Hopefully you've put them all in the question and answer section for me.
Yes. Thank you very much, Emily. Wow, you can see the heart like in the chat, right?
Ah,
People are
yeah,
reacting like
lovely.
crazily. Yeah, it's a lot of like practical but simple to like use handwriting or like just like doodling and drawing. Yeah, and I think the last example you are giving is like about future present, right? A teacher, I think called Titania. Sorry about the pronunciation. Yeah, she's talking about whether you have any ideas to doodle present simple with adverbs like usually, often, sometimes. Can you
I
give?
do.
Yep.
I did a training session just last week on using present simple in the classroom. I would need to turn the screen back on to the share screen back on to show it properly. Um, I'm working actually on some visual tools, which will be, to release later in the year on teaching graphic grammar with visual tools. So watch
Mhm.
this space. Um, yeah, for uh, to draw out a daily routine. I like to use like grammar prompts. So, for example, doodle a shower, doodle a cup of tea, doodle a bike for riding to school, and then get students to ask and answer questions. And the beauty of having little prompts with the icons is that they can have lots of different questions. So, for example, do you take your bike to school every day? Um, uh, do you have a shower in the morning? There's some is and are questions in there as well, depending on, but also you can use it for the past. Like, did you ride your bike yesterday? And you could also use that same prompt for the future. So you can practice many different tenses all at the same time, just with one image. Whereas if you have, for example, a prompt of did or any text in it, then you're limited instantly.
Yeah, so there should be quite a lot of like ideas to doodle or to draw like for these grammar like concepts, right? To make them visualized, to make them like
Yeah, yeah,
tangible.
yeah. And yeah,
Yeah.
for me, like I do like using timelines. I think I've got some much cooler ways using visual storytelling and visual metaphors. Um, like using arrows, using people walking in certain directions, that kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
and I think especially if like different cultures and different people perceive it in different ways. Like some students perceive it as this is the future. Other students,
Mhm.
I've heard that some people think of it as the past because we don't know what's going to happen ahead of us, but we do know what's
Ah,
behind it. So it's all perception, really. So in some ways, you kind of want your students to draw out grammar in their own way.
yeah, it takes like time to get the students to
Yeah,
be aligned, right, with the way how yeah to understand the concept behind these doodlings and drawings.
yeah.
Yeah, and there's another question from an anonymous attendee. Yeah, so she mentioned about the book of doodling. You mentioned it at the beginning. Can you repeat that name or the author of that book, maybe?
Oh, Sunny, I'll put it in the chat. Sunny Brown,
Yeah.
the Doodle Revolution. She has an amazing TED Talk, actually. Uh, so yeah, check out her book, but also check out her TED Talk. She has a really
Mhm.
cool one. Actually, there's lots of like graphic facilitation TED Talks, which are totally worth looking at. Patty Dobrowolski has one on drawing out your future.
Yep.
Uh,
And last
yeah,
question is from
yeah.
Veronica. She's wondering, are you using a drawing pad in the online classes, and how do you do it in the face-to-face classes?
Okay, so face to face, you've got the joys of a whiteboard or a flip chart, the paper
Hmm.
or the visualizer.
Hmm.
Yeah, in online classes, I like to use my pen. You can also draw a picture and then take a photo and then upload it and then just add the text using Canva text adder, like the text, I don't know, the text tool. And yeah, you
Yeah.
could use the annotation tools in Zoom as well.
Yeah, the whiteboard like in Zoom or in other
Yeah,
maybe online teaching
and the
platforms.
Zoom
Yeah.
whiteboard, exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much for the answers, Emily. And yeah, it's quite mind-blowing actually to see how you use the tools and how you navigate around. And p teachers are saying like it's much better than PPT. Yeah, they like the way how you use Canva to present like the class or even the training sessions. Yeah, I think it
Yeah, I think
provides
it's
a
much more
very
interactive.
different, yeah, a very different
Yeah.
way of teaching and training. So thank you very
Yeah.
much. And following Emily's session, I'm going to give you a 5 minute short break, and we're going to watch a quick video about a very creative like course book for young learners. To watch that video, we're going to have that 5 minute break, and I will see you in a few minutes. And after that, we will have Anna for the second session. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. So welcome back. Yes. And moving on to the second part, we're going to have Anna for the second part of today's session. And the video you just
You
watched
just
is oh, there's some echoing. The video you just watched is about Curious Kids, which is a very creative like course book. And I will come back at the end to give you some information about the course after Anna as well. So hi, Anna.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, nice to see you. How are you today?
I'm great, thanks. I mean, it's 8 a.m. Well, it's almost 9 a.m. here in Guadalajara, and I'm very happy to be here.
Yes, so it is like a session about color, right? Can you give us a little bit like information about what you're going to talk about in your session?
Of course, I'm a graphic designer. Then I became a teacher, so I could put together my two passions, which are art and teaching together, so we could have better classes. I mean, I'm going to share a story in which I discovered how color could help learners with different aspects in the class. So I'm thrilled to be here. I can see that there are teachers from many countries. Tere Gonzalez. Well,
Yes, a lot of teachers from Mexico and South American as well. Yeah.
Oh, they love Ana del Norte. I have a cartoon. I have a cartoon that it's pretty much a cartoon of my own, and it's called Ana del Norte. It's mostly in Spanish. That's why
Ah,
some
so
people know who I am.
great, great. You have some great like audiences over there. So I will give the stage to you. And yeah, as previously, if you have any questions for Anna, please do submit your questions in the Q&A, and I will be back in 30 minutes. And enjoy the session. See you in a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for being here. Yay. So I have people from Poland, Mexico, Lithuania, Nigeria. Wow. Just there we go. So Argentina. Oh, Greece, Turkey. Thank you so much for being here today. Pretty excited, as I said. And today we're going to be talking about the link between color and learning. And my name is Ana Caballero, as you can read here, but I'm also known as Ana del Norte, or Ana from the North, because of my cartoons. This is one of them. Before we begin, I will kindly ask you to relax. I mean, you had a great session with Emily. It was amazing, it was very dynamic. And now we're going to relax and you're going to focus on the colors. You have blue and green. You're going to listen. Let's take a few minutes to relax, okay? Breathe in, count 1, 2, 3. Hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, and breathe out. Look at how the colors merge in this beautiful blue and green watercolor and how you feel right now. There is a light of blue color going around your body as you breathe in. Again, 1, 2, 3, and breathe out. I know there might be many distractions, but do not focus on them. Focus on you and your feelings and these colors. If it's hard to look at the color, use your imagination and think about something that is related to these colors. For example, the sea or some grass or a tree, whatever makes you feel better. Again, inhale, 1, 2, 3. Hold it, 1, 2, 3, and exhale. Are you ready for today's session? Relax and enjoy. Okay. Today, I'm happy and I'm green. I actually saw some of your comments before Emily's session, and most of you said you were feeling green or the color green came to your mind. I created this so you could relate emotions to colors. So I'm going to ask you right now to type in the chat box whatever you feel and the color. As I said, I'm green and I'm happy. What about you? Green, 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 green. Happy people. Wow. Pink and relaxed, okay. Oh, romantic. Very good. Thank you so much. I want to share a story with you. Remember? This is me about, well, 15 years ago, it was 12 or 15 years ago. I was a teacher at an only girls school. It was secondary. I loved playing with my students and I got a job at this very strict and special school. This is a group. This is one of the groups I used to teach. And here they look happy, but this happened after a breaking point. The first day of school, well, I started working in the middle of the school year. So when I first walked into the classroom, they looked at me and said, "Hey, you're going to be our third English teacher this school year." The other two ran away because they couldn't handle us. I mean, it was just like talking to Regina George and Mean Girls. And I was scared, to be honest. I was around 20 something years old. But I was determined to take that challenge. There must be something that could be done, and I was willing to try pretty much everything. I mean, I tried changing teaching approaches. I did PPP, TBL, text-based. I also tried playing music for them in the class. I tried playing games. I also asked them to, talking to them, and oh gosh, have you ever had those students or those groups that you don't know what to do, but you try to do pretty much anything to change the conversation here? Yep. I must confess that every time I walked out of that classroom, I would cry my eyes out in the bathroom because I thought it was impossible. But one day, as a teacher, as an artist, as an illustrator, I wanted to use a different strategy. How many times? Thank you, teachers. I'm in Mexico. I decided that I was going to use colors in the classroom to have them reflect on something. I used some cards to draw some alphabet letters. I gave each student a letter. I didn't tell them that this was a phrase, but I told them to use the colors that represent them and their personality. And they had X amount of minutes so they could decorate their card. Once they finished, I told them, well, this is a phrase. Work together so you can put that sentence or that phrase together and tell me if you believe in this or not. Well, it took them around 30 minutes because they had conflicts between them. I mean, it was a very, very difficult group, and they were willing to have me run away. But after those 30 minutes, they realized, I don't know if you can read it because the resolution is not good. I mean, this was the first time I did it with this group and with, when teaching. But actions, yes, exactly. Actions speak louder than words. So now that they have figured out, well, there you go. Actions speak louder than words. They had promised so many times they would become a better group that I told them, well, this time, each letter has a part of you. Each letter represents you. So on the back of each letter, you're going to write something you commit to during the rest of the school year. So they did. And this changed completely. It was a game changer. So every time some students will start to misbehave, the other ones will tell them, hey, actions speak louder than words. And it became an important part of our school year. And this is when I discovered and when I found out how important it is to use color in the classroom, even for something as simple as classroom management. What do you think? Can you relate to this type of situation? Thank you. So this is why I've been using colors all of these years, even in classes and teacher training courses. And well, I have some questions. Well, I have two questions for you guys. Number one, how do you use color in your classroom? I'll give you a minute so you can type the way you use color in your classroom, please. And how do you use it? Do you use it for grammar? Do you use it to color coding? Good. Every class. Very good. Decoration, highlighting. Good. Okay. Second question. Why do you use it? Just because you like it or because there is a rationale behind it? Oh, that's nice, Stacy. Teaching vocabulary, you use it in groups. Kids love coloring, yes, and coloring activates a different part of the brain, which helps them focus better on different activities. To get, okay, visual, wow. Okay, now that we are in the mood for colors, I'm going to do some true or false, okay? Color coding improves information recall by only by 20%. Is this true or false? Good. It's false. Information, well, it is false because color coding improves information recall up to 40%. There was a study in which learners enjoyed most of the class because they were using colors and it was easier for them to remember what they were learning. Using colors can help improve memory retention. This is particularly useful for students who struggle or who have problems to retaining information presented in a more traditional way. Different colors activate different parts of the brain. True or false? Wow. You're getting an A+ in this test. True. Color processing is connected to areas of the brain responsible for emotions. This is why architecture is so important. This is why if you go to McDonald's, you feel like you have to eat and go. That's why they use it in fast food. Or if you go to H&M, you feel like you want to stay there for hours because everything is so neutral and so peaceful, and you just want to spend your money there. Next one, using color can have an emotional response. True or false? Very nice. Ding, ding, ding. True. I mean, blue promotes calmness and concentration. I mean, green enhances concentration as well and reduces anxiety. This is why some hospitals are light blue or green, and they use this color palette. I mean, pink can have a calming effect on the nervous system. And well, I don't know if you knew this, but green can increase memory for positive words. Exactly, Ernest. Different colors can evoke different emotions, specific emotions, and you can set the tone for an entire lesson. Then we have a classroom here, which is green and blue. Now, students' behavior is not affected by color. This is false. Color can regulate energy levels or it can influence productivity. I mean, if you use yellow, it stimulates mental activity and optimism. Or if you have a classroom full of color, I mean, that is oversaturated, this could cause learners disrupt their learning process. I mean, we have classroom 1 and classroom 2. In which classroom do you think learners will be able to focus better? Exactly, number 1. Yes, sometimes we have classrooms that are very colorful, they're very nice, but whenever we are trying to teach something, students are like, teacher, car, and they point to the cart that where they have the car, right? And we also have kids who have autism, and those students need less colors and less stimuli so they can focus. Yep, exactly, Amalia. Other reasons to use color in the classroom, well, we can use it to strengthen memory pathways. This is why in Mexico, and I can see that we have many Mexican teachers here, we have this joke, la niña de los plumones, girls who always use their markers to make notes. Complex information becomes more manageable when color-coded. Again, I was that girl. I loved using different colors to have to grammar items or vocabulary items and so on. Yay, we have many girls who love markers here. A strategic use of color can increase attention span. Certain colors help maintain sustained focus. For example, classrooms that have more neutral colors have a better focus from learners. And color zoning helps organize cognitive tasks. If you have workstations that are labeled in different colors, you can have learners move from station to station. So, so they know what to do in each stage of the class. Okay. When it comes to physical environment design, I have 3 pictures, 3 settings. How would you feel in any of these scenarios or in any of these classrooms? Could you type them in the chat box? I mean, you can choose one or you can just talk about the 3 of them. Calm, focused. Relaxed. Yep. Nice. Well, if we go over the first classroom, the green classroom with earthy tones, green is usually associated with well-being, with harmony, nature. Students can relieve stress, reduce fatigue, and relax in this type of setting. I love windows too. Blue is usually associated with the ocean and sky, and it increases productivity, and it also helps regulate heartbeat and breathing. And purple, well, for me, I mean, this is a personal opinion. Purple is like the best from 2 worlds. I mean, when you have the mixture of red and blue, something warm and something cool, power and energy, and color psychology, shades of purple can communicate originality and visionary thinking. Purple lovers. Okay. So we can use the setting of our class just to set the mood of our lessons. Okay. We also have active learning spaces. Some spaces, as you can see here, we have 2 classrooms. In this case, they're using colors. You can't see anything. That's weird. Can the rest of you see my screen? Can you see my presentation? Okay. So if we use warmer colors like soft yellow for collaborative areas, we can also incorporate color intensities to define different activity zones. Like in this case, we have a map and there is a seating chart where learners can sit and read. We can design visual boundaries using color-coded floor spaces. And I know this looks ideal in a perfect world, but sometimes, I mean, not sometimes, the goal here is to create a space where every student feels seen, supported, and capable of success, right? Wait, what? I don't have a classroom of my own. I have to share my classroom with 5 other teachers. And I'm from Mexico, and most teachers would say pretty much that. I don't have a classroom of my own. We don't have a budget to decorate classrooms. But again, don't worry. This is a good moment to work with your colleagues. And if you share your classroom with 5 other teachers, you could come to an agreement and say, well, this is the best for students. We're going to use half of the classroom for English and half of the classroom for Spanish or science or whatever. This is going to be the reading area or the calming area. When there's a will, there's a way. Exactly. We have a saying here in Mexico. Do what you can with what you have. Haz lo que puedas con lo que tienes. This is pretty much it. I mean, and as someone said before in the chat box, when there's a will, there's a way. Okay. You can even use cardboards. Oh, if you don't have a budget to paint your classroom, because that's not part of the school year's budget, you can use some cardboards to designate some areas, or you can even use masking tape to use this area to read, or this calming zone, or whatever. We can also use color-based sensory tools. I'm going to talk about preschool and elementary. I mean, in preschool, we have some examples, like these colored beans that they can use to relax and feel better. They can reduce anxiety, and they also help learners develop fine motor skills. We have this flexible fidget toys that can help them calm down whenever they have a tantrum or sensory overload. In elementary, well, you could have some fidget toys that they can spin them. Let's face it, after COVID and after so much screen time, we have faced a different reality where learners are easily distracted, they become more anxious, and they need these spaces or these tools so they can relax and come back to class. Something else we could do is use color as social emotional support and communication. For example, this mood meter in which learners can just say how they feel. You can use it at the very beginning of the class or at the end of the class. I highly recommend to make a routine with your learners using something similar to this, because if you use it as an exit ticket, they can stick their name on the top, or they can use their own version depending on what you need. Or this could be part of your welcome process when students walk into the classroom, and they can change it as class goes by. We also have this wheel, problem conflict solving wheel, in which we can help learners. Okay, I'm getting so distracted by the chat box. Okay, but I'm so grateful to have so many comments. thank you for participating. It's not like talking to the wall. It's like there's a conversation here. So we can use this type of wheel so learners can have different choices to make whenever they have a conflict in the class. You can even integrate them into this activity, creating their own solutions. And of course, like we did at the beginning, I don't know if you felt better after our mindfulness session, after our meditation with color. How did you feel about that after that? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? It took only like 2 minutes. And I think it was a good way to set the mood of the class and to focus exactly. There are some cross-curricular activities. For example, in mathematics, we can use color to teach equations or solving problems or just underlining the most important information in each problem. In science and color, we can use, well, we could create our own mind maps or correlation between data. And of course, in Curious Kids, one of our materials in Macmillan, we have some lessons in which art is included. Yay! I mean, this is for, I think it was for first grade, and they're using primary colors to make secondary colors. And there's also this curiosity corner. Here it says some squirrels are different colors. So we can put this together with how are you feeling, and maybe you are a green-orange squirrel. You're happy and you're surprised. Exactly, kids love these activities. Some activities for English language teaching, well, we can implement rainbow writing to reinforce morphology or phonology, spelling and patterns in terms of spelling, coloring parts of speech, like this worksheet that we have here. We can also, I mean, I used to teach literature many years ago. When it comes to simile and metaphor, they can use colors to underline or to circle to identify each of them. We also have some of the patterns. I mean, they're using, this is also from Curious Kids. They're using different colors for the letters S, W, so they can trace and write. For visual vocabulary organization, we can use this type of wall for emergent language or for language that vocabulary we're going to introduce during the lesson. So learners know how to classify them depending on the letter they start with. I highly recommend that students use different colors to try the same word and, well, to use the same color to stick it on the word wall. Here, we have some writing task in which learners had to use different colors, and this is helpful for dyslexic learners because sometimes when we use the same color, they don't know the difference or the order on how letters go. So this would be a very good idea for them. Exactly, writing the same word with different colors. Exactly. We also have a mind map here. I created this one about holidays, so learners could brainstorm some ideas in which they could use later on to prepare for a writing task. We have different groups and all words related to each group. We can also teach descriptive phrases using mind maps and using colors, of course. And idioms related to colors. I mean, we could use this as a warmer or as a closing activity, or just something to set the mood of the class, or to activate the schemata, and so on. For skills, I recommend using this wheel, so they can spin the wheel and decide what book to read next, or the next writing assignment will be about a horror story or a sad story. Guided conversations, this can be modified depending on your learner's level. For example, I don't know if you have taught very, very young learners. Have you taught young learners? Okay, so you know that whenever you're trying to teach something, there's always a question that has nothing to do with your class topic, right? Teacher, I don't know why my cat is doing this noise, is making this noise. Okay, so you can have these cards and tell students, okay, so write your question and write your question here, and we'll go over it during the week. So learners don't feel ignored, but they are addressing this question later on. You can have question cards, answer cards, or even the new topics that they want to address. So you know that maybe teenagers, they want to learn something about, well, if I say Facebook, they'll say that that doesn't exist anymore. That's for old people, right? They want to learn something about TikTok. So they can do the new research on TikTok. They can write an essay, or they can write about the zoo or pollution or whatever they have interest on. For early writing support, I saw that Emily did something similar in the previous session. So learners could use color just to have a way of tracing letters more easily, or they know that green always goes up and yellow lines always go down and red ones are just going across, and so on. Projects and games. Well, I found this from a mother's website. She used this during the pandemic. It was a scavenger hunt, and I like doing this with my learners as a warmer, so they can look for items that are red or blue or green. We usually do this in the classroom or outside the classroom, or they even bring items from home, and this can give you a better opportunity to work on more emergent language of things they have around them. It's not just vocabulary from the book. And of course, using a color story chain in which each learner adds a different bit of a story using a different color. Okay, so I have observed over, oh, I can't remember how many, but I think it's more than 3,000 teachers here in Mexico. And one of the problems that share with me the most is, Ana, we don't have time to complete all the lesson plan. For some reason, my students take too long to finish all the activities. And for this, I highly recommend you to do this. Cards. I know this won't work during the first week, but if you, exactly like in football, or if you have a traffic light, you can have students tell them, okay, this is a code. Whenever we have this card, red card, it means stop. Whenever you have the green card, it means start. Whenever you have the yellow card, it means that you have a couple of minutes to complete your task. So learners start getting used to see these cards. They're like, oh, and they get to become more aware of time management. And that's pretty much, that's better for them whenever they have to present a certification or whenever they work in real life, because they cannot take forever doing things in real life, right? We also have color-based word families. We have weekly color themes. I love doing this with very, very young learners. because they're pretty visual, and they're learning vocabulary such as tomato or strawberry or sky. Okay. For feedback, not feel bad. For feedback, I highly recommend you to use this type of badges. I mean, we usually have like excellent, good try. But if we have something in color and you can even use them without the text, you could have learners work a bit more on the orange ones, or you can even use binders to separate their work depending on how they did. So they don't have the, that's improvement. They just have the color and they know what it means. Okay. Some considerations that I want to share, because, oh yes, I just shared many things, right? And suddenly you're like, oh, do I have to paint the wall? Do I have to grade materials? What about feedback? Rainbow writing, hearts. And you want to do everything at the same time. Piece of advice, start small. Really. Don't try to overdo things, because it might be overwhelming for you and it's going to be crazy for your students. Okay? Making the cards can be one thing you can try for a couple of weeks, and then you can do something else. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, it's okay too, because not all groups are, all groups are different. You have to consider accessibility as well as cultural differences, meaning of colors, because depending on the depending on the culture, some colors have different meaning. Material management, well, maybe you need to bring in some materials, or maybe you can ask students to bring some materials for you. Assessment strategies, well, every time you try something new, it is always a good idea to assess it with your learners, or maybe talk to your parents or talk to your peers or the principal or whoever, your coordinator, so you're on the same page. Communication is key. A few tips, well, consistency. This is not only for teaching, this is for life. Yep, we have to be consistent. It's not like, oh, today I'm going to try the cards, and then tomorrow we'll try something different. No. Kids, well, even adults, when we have a routine, we feel better because we know what's coming next. Don't go over the top. Don't try to do everything at the same time. Make it meaningful. It's not just because it looks pretty. It must be meaningful for you and for learners. And of course, if you can integrate technology, that's even better. I mean, due to my context here in Mexico, if I started doing something very fancy on the computer, most teachers would have said, well, we don't have access to internet. But if you can, and if you have access to it, well, go for it. You can do this. I'm here to cheer you up, okay? And from what we talked about today, I'll kindly ask you to share what are you taking to your classroom and what would you like to implement in the future? Is there anything you would like to take away, a mood meter? Okay. Let's create the color revolution. Yes. Thank you. Color week. Yep. Puebla. Color therapy. Okay. I live in Mexico, so these are the guys who bring water. Okay. This is normal. You can find more information here, and as I know some people, well, you will get the presentation in your goodie bag, right? And well, before we go to questions and answers, I want to say something. Can I? Keep systems simple and child friendly. Less is more. And I want to thank all of you for being here, for your participation. As I said before, I didn't mention this before in this session, but this is my first session coming back after having my baby. So this is me and my baby, and we're really thankful and we're grateful for you being here today.
Thank you very much, Anna. And I love that like painting. It's by you, right?
Yeah, I'm a cartoon
Yes.
artist.
Amazing. Yeah. And so thank you for such a colorful session as well. A lot of ideas of using colors in the classroom. Yeah, I just have a few quick questions from the audience. And it's, I think some teachers ask about the references. I think you have already put them at the
Yeah.
end of the, yeah, slides, so that should be skipped. And the other question is actually about one of your considerations, accessibility, because we know that there are some students could be like colorblind. So do you have any ideas of how to take that into consideration? Is there any strategies we could use for these students who might be a little bit like not sensitive to some sorry, to some of the colors?
Actually, you can use codes. I mean, instead of using the color, you can. I mean, they can see different shades of gray, or depending on their colorblind level.
Mhm.
They can You can use different codes. Like, okay, this is red, or this is white. Well, this is green. So they can, instead of using the color, they use the shade of the color.
Yes. And also, I think there's one good idea from Emily's session as well, like to use different shapes when you represent different colors. Yeah, to try to give the students some other visual cues instead of only color, like for those students to make it more sorry about my throat, to make it more inclusive as much as possible. Yes. So
Yeah.
yeah, following Anna's session, I am going to guide you to a very creative and colorful course. And I think Anna has already used some of the examples from that course called the Curious Kids. And there are, yeah, a few activities, a few like pages you can see from Anna's session. So I will spend a really short uh, like period to give you more ideas about Curious Kids. So it is a six level like a British English course for young learners, and it's very easy to use, very rich in media. So you can see a lot of colors, a lot of pictures, and a lot of videos as well. So we try to make it suitable and accessible for mixed ability classes, and it has a very strong focus on curiosity and creativity. I think what we covered today, like by Emily and by Anna, it's all about like keeping students curious, keeping like students like engaged so that they can stay that kind of like a curiosity and creativity level to learn better and to yeah to develop like better. So with Curious Kids, it is yeah all about putting the fun back into learning. Yeah, make students engaged throughout. So let's be curious together about the course Curious Kids. So I'm going to give you five keywords, starting from the letter C. So could you please take a guess of what are the five keywords are starting from C? Yeah, there are five words. Yeah, take a guess. Creative, yes. Creativity, yes. Curiosity, that's right. Color, yeah, that's the key word for today, right? And also crazy, I like that one. Collaboration, yes. Confidence, yes, yes, great. And caring, that's right. Comprehension, connection, critical thinking, clever. Wow, that's a lot of great ideas over there. So I will take you through really quick about these keywords and to let you find more about what Curious Kids is all about. The first word, definitely curiosity. Yeah, it's the way how we spark and how we motivate children to learn. If we can nurture the curiosity from a young age, I believe we can guide the kids to a very good lifelong learning journey. So we want to curate, like we want to nurture that kind of passion for learning, and we put that into the center of Curious Kids. So we create a lot of opportunities for the young learners to explore more about themselves and also about people around them and the world around them while they are learning the language. So that's the key, definitely at the center of Curious Kids. Always, yeah, keep curious, stay curious. And then the next keyword, as some of you have already guessed, it's creativity. Because the students are curious, because they have that passion for learning, it is possible to unlock the creativity behind them. And it's all about creative expression. I think, yeah, no matter from Emily's session, we talked about doodling, drawing, or using colors like Anna mentioned, yeah, using different types of colors to, yeah, do activities or to develop the language skills. It's more about how the students express themselves creatively. So we want to integrate that creative expression in the students' learning together with their social and emotional and cognitive development. So we want to develop and apply creativity in a very carefully crafted syllabus for students to study like projects, some creative activities, arts and crafts, problem solving, creative thinking, and so on and so forth to develop language skills at the same time to be innovative and creative and be open to learn new things as well. And then the third keyword is collaboration, as you have mentioned. So we want to foster that kind of collaboration between students. They will work together because we believe by working together, by interacting with each other, by communicating with peers, the students will be more able to, yeah, stay curious and confident, and there will be like a background, a ground for them to develop essential life skills as well. So we will have a lot of cooperative learning opportunities in well-staged group projects, yeah, to make learning more accessible and motivating for all young learners. Yeah, and also we will have stories featuring like social emotional learning and values to allow them to reflect on their own behavior and to create a very good environment for them to collaborate. And of course, nurture communication. The fourth keyword is communication. We use real world content to motivate students to give them like a content to carry out the real communicative tasks with their peers in the classroom, in pairs, in small groups. Yeah, to give them the purpose to communicate. Yeah, in a very everyday, day-to-day like context, and for them to achieve these skills, they will need to accomplish the day-to-day communication. And then the last keyword is to celebrate. Yeah, I didn't see many teachers mentioning this keyword, but it is about inclusion. I think we talked about accessibility, we talked about like inclusive. Yeah, it's all about to take all the students' needs into consideration. So Curious Kids as a course, we want to take all the students' needs into consideration. We want to carefully structure our content, our tools, and our tips to provide the teachers like with easy to use content and support for teaching mixed ability classes. So you will find all these colors, all these like pictures and videos, and all like leveled worksheets, like differentiated like worksheets and exercises are there available for teachers to use in the classroom to cater to different students' needs. So these are the 5 keywords of Curious Kids. And if you want to explore more about the course, we're going to send a link in the chat. Yes, you can find that link in the chat about Discover Curious Kids with AI. So you can click that link to take a look at the AI-assisted showroom of Curious Kids, where there you can find more about these 5 keywords, and also to go through a unit to have a look at all these beautiful pictures, illustrations, videos, and colors in Curious Kids. And you can also talk to the AI like assistant. You can ask the AI questions about Curious Kids. Hopefully, you will get information you want. And apart from the AI, we also have human contact that you can request for. So there's another link in the chat to request the contact for Curious Kids from Macmillan Education local representatives. So if you submit your contact information by clicking the second link in the chat, you will be able to get in touch with our Macmillan Education local representatives, and they are human, they're not AI. They will be able to give you a lot more support, yeah, about Curious Kids. They will be able to, yeah, guide you through more information, yeah, and show you the sample units or send you a trial code to take a look at the students or the teachers' resources. So that is about Curious Kids. Hope you like the course and hope you can find a lot more behind the course by clicking these two links. And also, before I let you go, I want to let you know that in the virtual goodie bag, we're going to send you in a week. Yeah, there will be the certificate and also the recording of the session and also some good teaching resources from Curious Kids. So there will be a little book of curiosity from Curious Kids where you can find some good tips, good activities, and good resources of teaching young learners, yeah, using different like creative activities and colorful like resources. So please do check out the virtual goodie bag that comes into your inbox in around a week. Okay, stay patient with that. And moving on to tomorrow's session, we are going to have more focus on teenagers. So we will have a look at the I generation. Yeah, they're all the cool kids, right? We need to understand who they are and what they like what's their thinking, and also taking a little bit more about like teaching tips and strategies of teenagers as well. So please come back tomorrow and we will have two wonderful speakers waiting for you. And the last thing is about what you have learned today. Yeah, I think you have shared something at the end of Anna's session. Please also let me know what you remember from all two sessions from today. What are you going to take away and what you are going to apply into your day-to-day teaching? Colors, yes, of course. Curiosity, doodling, yes. Time management, color cards, good. New doodle like skills, right? Yes. Mindfulness, great. Wow, it's flowing so quickly. Oh, yeah, linking colors to learning. Yes. Less is more. Okay, I like that one. Yes. Don't overwhelm your students. I know there are a lot of good ideas, but yeah, take it slow, start from small, and also, yeah, take it slow. So thank you very much for all the great participation, all the great like chat in the box, and also a lot of good ideas shared with like your peers, your fellow teachers as well. We really, yeah, we're really grateful to have you with us. And don't forget to click the link if you're still curious about Curious Kid. We do want to hear from you as well. So thank you very much again. We will see you tomorrow. We will see you tomorrow. And also we have upcoming like sessions in this week. From tomorrow is Wednesday, right? We have Thursday and Friday as well. 3 more days coming. So see you tomorrow. Bye bye.